Thanks for joining us today at Home Field Trivia for our Saints or Aints quiz. Like and subscribe for more content. This is the New Orleans Saints, true or false? The Saints have had multiple players win Defensive Player of the Year. That is false. The New Orleans Saints were founded in 1967. True or false? True. The Saints won their first Super Bowl in 2009. That is true. The Saints have retired the number 21 for Deuce McAllister. True or false? That is false. Drew Brees is the Saints' all-time leading passer. That is true. The Saints play their home games at Mercedes-Benz Superdome. That is true. Tom Dempsey had no toes on his kicking foot. That is true. The Saints have never had a 12-win season. True or false? That is false. Sean Payton was the Saints head coach during their Super Bowl win. That is true. The Saints have never lost a playoff game at home. That is false. The Saints have two mascots. True or false? True. The Saints have had 9 players inducted into the Hall of Fame. That is false. The Saints have appeared in only one Super Bowl. True or false? That is true. The Saints' defense was nicknamed the Dome Squad. That is false. The Saints have a rivalry with the Atlanta Falcons. That is true. The Saints have never won the NFC South Division. That is false. The Saints' original owner was Tom Benson. True or false? That is true. The Saints have had a player win Offensive Rookie of the Year. That is false. The Saints have played in London. That is true. The Saints once had a 15-1 regular season. That is false. Archie Manning played for the Saints. True or false? That is true. The Saints have never won an NFC championship without winning the Super Bowl. That is true. The Saints' all-time leading rusher is Deuce McAllister. That is true. The Saints have never had a losing season. That is false. The Saints mascot is a Saint Bernard dog. True or false? That is false. The Saints have played home games in the Louisiana Superdome since 1975. True or false? That is true. The Saints have a rivalry with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is true. The Saints have never beaten the Panthers in the playoffs. That is false. The Saints' current head coach is Dennis Allen. That is true. The Saints have had multiple 1,000-yard receivers in a season. That is true. Thank you for joining us today for our Saints or Aints quiz. Like and subscribe for more content, and don't forget to leave a comment below.